At 33 years old, Jesus was sentenced to death. At that time, crucifixion was considered the worst form of execution. Only the most serious criminals were sentenced to crucifixion. For Jesus, this sentence was even more horrific, as unlike other criminals condemned to crucifixion, Jesus was nailed to the cross through his hands and feet. Each nail was 6 to 8 inches long. The nails were driven through his wrists, not the palms of his hands as is often depicted. At the wrists, there are tendons that extend to the shoulders. The Roman soldiers knew this, so when the nails were driven into the wrists, the tendons were ripped and torn, forcing Jesus to use the muscles in his back to lift himself up in order to breathe. Both of his feet were nailed together. This meant he had to push up on the nail through his feet and the cross to be able to inhale, as the pain prevented him from supporting himself on his legs. Imagine the struggle, the agony, the anguish, the courage of Jesus. Jesus endured this for over 3 hours. Yes, over 3 hours. Can you imagine this level of pain? A few minutes before his death, Jesus stopped bleeding blood and only water flowed from his wounds. In images, we often see the wounds in the palms of the hands and the wound in the side from the spear, but do we truly comprehend that these wounds were actually inflicted upon the body of Jesus? The hammer drove the long nails through his wrists, and a large nail pierced both feet stacked on top of each other and the wood beneath, and then a Roman soldier thrust a spear into his side. Before being nailed and speared, Jesus had been whipped. The whipping was so severe that it tore the flesh from his body. The blows were so horrific that his face was disfigured and his beard was ripped from his face. The crown of thorns was driven into his scalp. The human form of Jesus would have likely not survived this torture. Jesus had no more blood to shed, only water flowed from his wounds. The human body contains about 3.5 liters of blood. Jesus shed all 3.5 liters of his blood, 3 nails through his limbs, a crown of thorns on his head, and then a Roman soldier's spear in his side. All of this, not to mention the ridicule Jesus endured as he carried the heavy cross, approximately 2 miles, while the crowd spat on him and threw stones. The cross itself weighed around 300 pounds, just the crossbeam.